after a lot of losses,
Come to the pain zone. It's where we live.
Accept the pain. Smile at the pain. Embrace the pain.
Need to love pain.
You drive it through the goddamn pain. Muscle through the pain. Muscle through the goddamn pain.
Newcastle won. So from the Murphy Resilience, to the Osula Masterclass, to the Super Subs, to the massive update from David Ornstein on Eddie Howe's future. As per, join us as we'll break it all down and discuss the things we learned from Newcastle United 3, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Let's go.
So starting off, Nick Pope gave us a performance that somehow managed to be both reassuring and slightly terrifying at the same time. The Newcastle number 1 walked away with a respectable 7.2 rating, and to be fair, his shot stopping did its job. 3 saves in total, all from inside the box, which tells you everything about how dangerous those moments were. He even chipped in with a punch, a successful run-out, and a high claim. The kind of bread-and-butter goalkeeping that keeps 3 points ticking over nicely. But then, there's the ball at his feet. Because while Pope the shot stopper is dependable, Pope the distributor right now is living dangerously. Completing just 9 of his 28 passes, 32%, and landing 7 of 26 long balls, 27%, every clearance felt like a 50 out of 50 gamble. At one point, under pressure, he nearly gifted the opposition a goal. The kind of moment that makes you sit forward and say, yeah, let's not do that again. You start to wonder if there's something going on behind the scenes. Confidence, fatigue, maybe even a knock. Because this version of Pope on the ball looks a step off it. Shot stopper, reliable, ball-playing keeper, currently under investigation. Still, when it mattered most, he kept the ball out. And ultimately, that's why Newcastle walked away with the win. In front of him, the defense had that familiar look, organized, disciplined, and quietly effective. And then there was Lewis Miley, casually putting in a performance that didn't look anything like a player adjusting to a new decade of life. 39 touches, a 7.0 rating, and a display full of composure that felt well beyond his years. Tasked with handling Kaoru Mitoma early on, not exactly a relaxing afternoon job, Miley held his ground well. And just when you thought his workday might ease up, he was handed Yankuba Minteh in the second half. No problem. Same focus, same discipline, same calm execution. Defensively, he was busy without being chaotic. 8 defensive contributions, 7 clearances, and a perfect 4 out of 4 success rate in aerial duels. Not bad for someone who isn't exactly built like a traditional fullback. On the ground, he won 1 of 4 duels, which tells you he had his hands full at times. But crucially, he didn't crumble under pressure. First game in his 20s, playing like he's been here for years. Going forward, he kept things tidy rather than flashy, completing 16 of 20 passes, 80%, and delivering 1 accurate cross from 1 attempt. No nonsense, no overcomplication, just effective football. He was dribbled past twice, sure. This isn't a highlight reel performance, but it's the kind of solid, dependable display managers love and fans learn to trust. Not spectacular, just solid. And sometimes that's exactly what you need. All in all, Miley did his job, quietly, efficiently, like it was just another day at the office, not a young player stepping up against tricky opposition. And Newcastle? They'll take that every single time. If the backline set the tone for this win, then the centre-backs made sure it stayed that way. And there was a bit of everything. Dominance, redemption, and just a touch of chaos for flavor. Malik Chow will be wondering how on earth he didn't end up on the score sheet, because on another day we're talking about him as both a defensive rock and a match winner. He finished with the highest XG in the game, 0.82, only to be denied by Verbruggen. One of those moments where you're already halfway out your seat before the save ruins the celebration. That was supposed to be the centre-back goal. You know the one. Defensively, though, he was locked in. 9 defensive contributions, including 6 clearances, 2 blocked shots, 5 recoveries, and even a last-man tackle for good measure. The kind that stops attacks and raises heart rates in equal measure. On the ground, he was flawless, winning both of his duels, and while aerially he was slightly less dominant, he still held his own. The most impressive part? He wasn't dribbled past once, not once. Whoever came his way got the same message. Not today. On the ball, he kept things clean and composed with 21 out of 27 accurate passes, 78%. even adding a successful dribble just to show a bit of confidence creeping in. With 39 touches, he was constantly involved, and you can start to see something building alongside Botman. The chemistry is definitely loading and nearing completion. And speaking of Sven Botman, this was much closer to the version Newcastle fans know and trust. The big Dutchman looked like a man on a mission, throwing himself into everything like defending was a personal vendetta. He finished with a 7.7 rating and a staggering 15 defensive contributions, headlined by a team-high 10 clearances. Every cross, every loose ball, every second phase, Botman was there. If it moved, he cleared it. He backed that up with 2 interceptions, a blocked shot, and perfect efficiency in his ground duels, 3 out of 3 won. In the air, he was equally commanding, winning 4 out of 5 aerial duels, proper centre-back authority. And then there was the added bonus. He didn't just defend, he contributed going forward too. A big chance created and a key pass from a centre-back, that's luxury. Add in 26 out 31 passing, 84%, and 50 touches, and you've got a player dictating play as much as stopping it. Centre-back, playmaker, brick wall, pick your fighter. He's not fully back to his absolute peak yet. You can still see there's another level, but this was a serious step in the right direction. Then there's Dan Burn, a man who heard the selection debates and decided to settle them in the most Newcastle way possible, by scoring at the Gallowgate end. His 7.5 rating was built on a performance that perfectly summed him up. Defensively, immense. Going forward, decisive when it mattered. In possession, let's just say it was an adventure. The headline moment, of course, was that powerful second goal, the kind that gets the crowd bouncing and instantly justifies his place in the starting 11. Big Dan definitely doesn't do subtle. Defensively, he was rock solid. 6 clearances, 2 tackles won from 2 attempts, 3 aerial duels won from 3, and not a single time dribbled past. Reliable, aggressive, and fully committed. Exactly what you want. But on the ball, yeah, we need to talk. Burn completed just 10 of his 22 passes, 45%. And in the opposition half, things got even more chaotic. 0.8 passes completed. Every time he stepped forward, it felt like Newcastle were rolling the dice. Even his long balls didn't land, 0 out of 1. And while he was safer in his own half, 10 out of 14 with a 71%, there were definitely moments where possession just disappeared. Still, here's the thing. Newcastle don't pick Burn to be a midfield playmaker. They pick him to defend, dominate physically, and turn up in big moments. And that's exactly what he did. Overall, the defensive unit had a bit of everything. Chow bringing composure and near glory, Botman returning to his commanding best, and Burn delivering chaos, goals, and old-school defending. Not always pretty, but very, very effective. And at the end of the day, that's what wins you games. Then in midfield, Newcastle had that familiar blend of control, chaos, and controlled aggression. The kind of trio that doesn't just play the game, they impose themselves on it. Sandro Tonali was at the heart of it all, quietly running the show from deep like a man who had the entire pitch mapped out in his head. With 45 touches and a 7.0 rating, this was one of those, you notice him more the longer you watch performances. Operating as the deepest midfielder, he constantly dropped in between the centre-backs to collect possession, acting as the calm reset button whenever things got a bit frantic. He was the metronome, simple as that. On the ball, he was efficient and composed, completing 23 of 30 passes, 77%, always looking to keep things ticking rather than forcing the spectacular. But don't mistake calmness for passivity. Defensively, he put in the work too. 7 defensive contributions, including 5 clearances, show just how much ground he covered, while his 3 out of 4 ground duels won added that extra bite when needed. He even chipped in with a tackle and interception, only being dribbled past once, a small blemish on an otherwise complete display. Everywhere you looked, Tonali was there. And that engine? It just doesn't stop. The kind of player you don't fully appreciate until you imagine the team without him. And suddenly everything feels a bit slower, a bit less controlled. Alongside him, Bruno Guimaraes, the heartbeat, the captain, the man who somehow manages to mix Samba flair with Premier League grit. This was one of those performances where he didn't just influence the game, he shaped it. It started with a moment of pure vision, the kind that doesn't show up fully in the stats but changes everything. Spotting the run early, he clipped a beautiful ball over the top to Murphy in the build-up to the opener, a pass that split the defense like it had insider information. And before the opposition could even reset, Bruno struck again, this time officially on the scoresheet with an assist for Dan Burns' goal, doubling the lead and putting Newcastle firmly in control. That's now another assist added to his tally, reinforcing what's already been a standout season. Because let's not forget, Bruno Guimaraes is both Newcastle's top scorer and top assister in the Premier League this season, his real complete midfielder, leader and stat machine. He finished with a 7.5 rating, registering 1 assist and 1 key pass, while also attempting to create from wider areas with 4 crosses, 1 accurate. His passing overall sat at 11 out of 19, 58%, which tells a slightly messy story. Not everything came off, but he was constantly trying to make things happen. High risk, high reward, sometimes very high risk. With 41 touches, he stayed involved throughout, even completing a dribble and getting a shot away, though it was blocked before it could trouble the keeper. And if there's one thing the opposition definitely learned, it's this. Stopping Bruno legally is difficult. He was fouled 5 times, repeatedly dragged down as he tried to carry the ball forward. If you can't stop him, foul him. Apparently that was the game plan. Defensively, he quietly put in a serious shift too. 4 defensive contributions, including a tackle, 3 clearances and 7 recoveries, show he wasn't just there for the flair. In midfield duels, he was especially impressive, winning 7 of 10 on the ground, and crucially, he wasn't dribbled past once. He got stuck in and led by example. But here's where the performance split slightly. In the first half, Bruno was everywhere, dictating play, creating chances, leading the press. In the second half, things faded. Newcastle struggled to keep possession, and you could feel the midfield lose a bit of its grip on the game. And when Bruno drops off, even slightly, the whole team feels it. First half, conductor. Second half, searching for the rhythm again. That's not to say he had a poor game, far from it. He was still one of Newcastle's most influential players. But when you're this important, the expectations shift. You're not just part of the system, you are the system. When Bruno clicks, Newcastle purr. When he fades, things get nervy. Overall, another strong showing from the captain. Moments of brilliance, key contributions, and leadership when it mattered most. Just with that slight second-half dip that leaves you thinking, there's still even more in the tank. In terms of Willock, all I can say is he did his part. Then, Joelinton returned from suspension like a man who had been waiting 2 games just to remind everyone what they'd been missing. And within minutes, he was already throwing himself into duels like it was personal. Big Joe doesn't ease into games. He kicks the door down. His 6.7 rating doesn't quite capture the chaos and physical dominance he brought early on. He racked up 5 defensive contributions, including 2 tackles, 1 from 2, and added 8 recoveries, constantly disrupting the opposition's rhythm. On the ground, it was a proper scrap. 10 duels contested, winning 4, while aerially he held his own with 4 wins from 7. And of course, it wouldn't be a Joelinton performance without a few fouls thrown in for good measure. 3 fouls, standard procedure. Controlled chaos, emphasis on chaos. On the ball, though, he was surprisingly tidy, completing 20 of 23 passes, 87%, with an impressive 91% accuracy in the opposition half. When he wasn't bulldozing through challenges, he was actually helping move things forward efficiently. He even carried the ball well at times, completing 2 of his 4 dribbles, showing that mix of power and intent. But then, that moment, clean through, with the chance to slide it across to Barnes for what would have been a simple finish. And instead, Joelinton backed himself. The shot, dragged wide. Barnes was ready. The goal was ready. Everyone was ready, except the finish. It's the kind of decision that perfectly sums him up. Confident, aggressive, and just a little bit chaotic. Together, Tonali and Joelinton gave Newcastle a midfield that could both control and disrupt, one dictating the tempo, the other breaking it entirely. Brains and brawn, balance restored. Not flawless, not always pretty, but effective in exactly the way this team needs. Then resilient Jacob Murphy might not have been the busiest man on the pitch, but when Newcastle needed something decisive, he delivered. And sometimes that's all that matters. With just 18 touches, this wasn't a volume performance. it was an impact one. The defining moment came early, and it said everything about his mindset. After being clipped and having every right to go down and take the free kick, Murphy chose the harder option. He stayed on his feet, kept the move alive, and seconds later delivered a perfect cross for the opening goal. Stayed up, delivered, assist. That's football done properly. It was a moment of composure and honesty that doesn't always get rewarded in modern football. But this time it paid off beautifully. The cross itself, absolutely spot on. The kind of delivery that takes defenders out of the equation and says, "Go on then, finish it." He ended the game with a 7.4 rating, registering 1 assist, 3 key passes, and a big chance created, showing that even in limited involvement, he was one of Newcastle's most dangerous outlets. On the ball, he was flawless, literally. 6 out 6 accurate passes, 100%, plus a successful dribble, keeping everything clean, simple, and effective. No waste, no nonsense, just efficiency. He was also fouled twice, which tells you defenders were struggling to deal with him when he did get involved. But like a few others, his influence dipped after the break. As Newcastle lost a bit of control in the second half, Murphy drifted out of the game, seeing less of the ball and struggling to recreate that early impact. First half, decisive. Second half, quieter than we'd like. Still, that assist alone carries serious weight. It broke the tension, set the tone, and gave Newcastle the foothold they needed. And sometimes, one moment is all it takes. 18 touches, one big contribution, job done. Then up top, Osula delivered the kind of masterclass performance that makes managers look like geniuses and defenders look like they've made some poor life choices. His first half alone was chaos in the best possible way. 6 touches in the opposition box, 4 shots, 2 on target, 1 goal, and even a chance created, all from just 11 total touches. In fact, he had twice as many shots as completed passes, 2 out of 2, which honestly tells you everything about his mindset. Why pass when you can shoot? And to be fair, it worked. His goal was taken with real composure, the kind of finish that settles nerves and lifts a stadium. But beyond that moment, he was a constant menace, stretching the Brighton defense with his pace, twisting defenders with his movement, and generally refusing to let them breathe. Every time he got the ball, something happened. He finished the match with a 7.7 rating, backed by 4 total shots, 2 on target, and 0.78 xG, showing he was consistently getting into dangerous positions. He may have missed one big chance, but he never stopped asking questions. And that's exactly what you want from a striker. Miss one, take the next. Striker mentality. There was also a bit of creativity in there, with an XA of 0.31 and a key chance created, proving he's not just about finishing. He can link play when needed, even if his first instinct is always to go for goal. On the ball, he completed one of his 2 dribbles, showing flashes of that trickery that kept Brighton's backline guessing all game. Pace, intent, and just enough chaos to keep defenders awake at night. And let's talk about the bigger picture. 3 goals in his last 4 games. That's not a purple patch anymore, that's form, real form, which makes the selection call look even better. Starting him ahead of Visser and Voltemado raised a few eyebrows before kickoff. Not anymore. Selection justified. Debate closed. At this rate, he's not just keeping his place, he's making it his own. And then came the cavalry, the kind of substitutions that don't just freshen things up, they shift the story of the match. Lewis Hall arrived at left wing-back and wasted absolutely no time reminding everyone what he brings going forward. Within minutes, he was tearing down the flank on a lung-busting run that deserved a goal at the end of it, only for Visser to miss the cue. That deserved an assist. Football can be cruel. He finished with a 7.0 rating, and while his defensive numbers were minimal, 1 clearance, 1 recovery, 1 ground duel, 1, that's not why he was on the pitch. This was about injection of energy and attacking intent, and he delivered exactly that. Going forward, he created a big chance, registered a key pass, and completed one of his 2 crosses, constantly looking to stretch the game. His passing, 3 out of 5, 60%, wasn't flawless, but the intent was clear. Get forward, make things happen. Direct, aggressive, no hesitation. The interesting subplot here, that left-sided battle, because as things stand, he's going to have a real fight on his hands to displace Dan Burn, which, based on past expectations, sounds slightly surreal. Form changes everything. Harvey Barnes, meanwhile, did what top attackers do: arrive, stay quiet, and then finish the job. Introduced at a time when Newcastle was struggling to get a foothold, he initially found it hard to get involved. The game was messy, possession was limited, and chances were few. But then came his moment. One shot, one goal. A composed left-footed finish into the roof of the net that slammed the door shut on the game. Clinical, ruthless, thank you very much. He ended with a 7.4 rating from just 13 touches, maintaining 100% passing accuracy and delivering the one thing that mattered most, the goal that sealed it. Didn't need many touches, just needed the right one. Johan Wissa's cameo, on the other hand, was a bit of a roller coaster. For large parts, he struggled to get into the game, and when the big moment came, he didn't take it. A clear-cut chance, the kind you expect to be buried, ended up being launched somewhere into orbit. Second week in a row, and it seems NASA is now taking notes. He finished with a 6.8 rating, one shot, and one big chance missed. Not exactly headline material. But here's the twist. Late on, he showed real determination to press Van Hecke, forcing the mistake that ultimately led to Barnes's goal. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't glamorous, but it mattered. Miss a sitter, create a goal, balance restored. Still far from his best, but at least this time he contributed something decisive. And finally, Jacob Ramsey. Brief, tidy, and efficient. Brought on late to help see things out, he did exactly what was asked. No drama, no risks, just calm ball retention and smart movement. 2 passes completed from 2, 4 touches, and even a successful dribble to keep things ticking. Professional cameo. Nothing more, nothing less. All in all, the substitutes played their part perfectly. Hall brought energy. Barnes brought the finish. Wissa brought chaos and eventually something useful. Ramsey brought control. Impact off the bench, proper squad depth. And when games start to slip, that's exactly what gets you over the line. Then, in other news, according to David Ornstein, Eddie Howe is expected to remain in charge of Newcastle United, heading into the 2026-27 season, following key meetings with the club's hierarchy last week. The discussions, which involved Chairman Yasser Al-Rumayyan and representatives from the Public Investment Fund, came at a time when pressure had been building due to a poor run of results and underwhelming performances. Despite the difficult spell, Howe emerged from those talks in a strong position. Speaking publicly soon after, he described the meetings as positive and appeared calm about his future, which aligned with growing indications behind the scenes that the club's leadership still had faith in him. Ornstein reports that Howe not only retains the backing of the owners, but is also fully committed to continuing his work at the club. There is, however, an understanding on all sides that the current season has fallen below expectations and cannot be repeated. While Howe is expected to be in charge next season, it is believed that only a dramatic and negative end to the campaign would change that outcome. Barring such a collapse, the club see him as the right figure to lead the next phase of the project. This backing also suggests there is no immediate intention from figures like CEO David Hopkinson to make a managerial change or bring in a different appointment. Instead, the focus appears to be on stability, giving Howe the opportunity to address the team's shortcomings and guide Newcastle forward after a challenging period. But what are your thoughts on the development?